Hey everybody, it's your girl Tunisha Brown of Impact Magazine, editor-in-chief of Impact Magazine. Today, coming to you for my virtual book tour. I've got the tea that will get me to the juice. Yeah. This is a self-healing workbook that is, through experience. It came, forward. And I'm so excited about this book tour. We were supposed to be going all city to city and all of that good stuff, but we know COVID-19 has taken over. And so what we have to do is adjust to the times. And I'm so excited tonight to bring, the conversation about who we are, what we're supposed to be doing in this moment, and how we keep ourselves first in it. Out of everything that's going on, how we keep ourselves first in it. And I'm so excited to have Miss Christine Carter. Do you want me to say your middle name?
You don't have to.
Okay, Christine Carter, who is the bomb. Okay, she is the #1 best-selling about moms and what goes on with us. She's been she was senior contributor for Forbes Women. I mean, if I had a mic, I would drop it right there. You know what I mean? She has so much that she has done. She's been featured in New York Times and the Washington Post, #1 global voice for working moms. So I'm so excited to have her come on board and sit with me tonight and just have a conversation on having the tea to get us to the juice, honey.
Thank you so much, Tunisha. I'm so happy to have the opportunity to be the first to interview you as well.
Oh,
And
yes.
get the mom perspective going.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So tell me, why now? Why did you decide to launch the workbook now?
Well, it came derived from a whole conversation I had with my son. He just started, we were in a new transition in life from him being home every day, teenager, to now going to college and transitioning to having more responsibility. And so he had said to me about something he didn't like the way that his life was going. And I said, well, you got to look at yourself. What are you doing to combat this? You're a procrastinator. You want life to give you results that you're not putting in for life to give you a greater result. You want the rewards, but don't want to do the work. And so I was like, oh my God. Oh Lord, this is because you're not sure of who you are. You don't know who you are. If you're thinking life is going to give you this,
Right.
you're putting in that. And so I thought about all of the many times I was in that space and all of the many times that now I'm in this same space. Because the first thing I said to myself when I came home from dropping him off was, what are you going to do? And I'm like, wait a minute. I have a whole magazine. I have thousands of people. I do big events all year. Why am I asking myself, what am I going to do? That's because at that moment, I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
Whole life was so wrapped up into taking care of my son, taking care of home, and building the business that the me part was all done. And I had to sit down and get to the truth of who I am in this moment and in this time and know what I need to do in order to move forward, because what was taking place in my life before is done. Son's in college, all those things. So now I was like, now is a good time to focus on who I am and make sure I know what I need when it's time for self-care, when it's time to move in business, when it's time to do so many other things, and also own your story, own it.
Yeah. It's very clear how women who have children who are now adults or transitioning from high school into college can relate to the book. But for moms right now who are home, who are struggling with work-life balance and teaching during the pandemic and homeschooling kids and having them knock on doors and interrupting everything. Hello, that's me. How what's your vision for those women when they pick up the workbook? How do you think that they'll be able to get out of their heads and really
Right.
accept the principles and teachings in the workbook?
How they is because they're going to carve out some time just for them, because this is not a workbook that you could just go pick it up and look through. This is a workbook that is really going to dig into who you are first. It's going
Okay.
it's going to require you to take some time for you, and in this moment the time is for everybody, right? Because we're home, everyone is requiring your time. If you're married, young kids, even my son, he's 20, he, even though he think he don't get my time, he does, when he needs it. And we have to take those moments, and then being online every day, right? Being online every day, and then seeing so much of what is happening. We have to make sure we take the time. And that's what the book is saying. You have to take the time and sit down and carve out and make yourself a priority. Make it
Yeah.
a priority with whatever is going on in the world, and sit down and dig into this book, because at the end of the day, you're not only going to understand who you are in this moment of COVID-19, of all of these things that you see online, your kids asking you for some food every 2 minutes,
Mm.
you're going to figure it out how to know who you are and say, you know what? I don't want them coming to me 2 to 5 minutes every second of the day. So I might have liked that before COVID-19, but now since we're home 24/7 and in this moment, I don't necessarily care for that. So
Right.
we restructure some things. So, and that's what the book helps you, because if not, you're going to be frustrated because you're like, why is everything doing? Oh, because times have changed. And now you got to change it within this time within yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Take me through the workbook. Tell me what you think really resonated with you and you want to share with the audience and say like, oh, I love that part. That was my aha. I really needed that.
My aha is one section of the book where it's called There's Levels to This.
Hmm.
And it speaks about each level requiring a new you. It's just like the example we just gave. We're in a new level. It's COVID-19. And how you were the day before it happened is a whole nother level now, because we have everything coming towards us. And in this part of the book, we deal with understanding that at each level, not only does it require a new you, it also requires you to look at the pros and cons of each situation. And like sometimes when we get to these different levels, we want to be complacent and bring that person from yesterday into today, into this
Hmm.
level. But if we're going to be successful in these new levels, we have to understand that, okay, what's the pros and cons? What's the consequences that's going to happen if I decide to go with this and it has more cons than pros for me? And am I able to handle this level? You know, and that is what stuck out to me, like, oh, this is my favorite, because then we have to really, really dig into who we are as a person. Can we
Right.
really handle it? Am I ready to do all this work? Am I
That sacrifice and that commitment.
that's why we get into a new level, but we stay where we are and we can't handle it, because
Yeah.
and it dwindles from us because we don't want to do the work and make the sacrifices and do the things that demand the change and demand for us to step up to that level. So that's one of the portions of the book that is really, really my favorite.
Oh, that's good. Now tell me, when with the magazine, what do you constantly hear from women on social media in the comments when who write to you about the magazine? What do you hear from those Black moms? What are they looking for, and how did you address that in the workbook?
Right. They're looking for empowerment. They are looking for, someone to say thank you because you showed us that we are important,
Hmm.
that we should be taking care of ourselves outside of going get a mani and petty, with your girlfriend, having mimosas on Saturday. We are a whole human being, and we get caught up when we let everything else come inside of that, and we put ourselves to the back burner. And we learn that I know I learned it as being a kid. I grew up in a crack epidemic. My mom took care of all of her kids, which I was the youngest, and then she had to take care of my sister's kid. So here I am, the middle child, who needs attention, who needs all these things, but my mom had to give it. So I've always stepped back and put people forward in front of me. So once I understood that part about myself, it was like, okay, good. This is why you got you do so much in your business. This is why you'll honor people and do all these things and make sure and go above and beyond over excessively. Like, we can go above and beyond, but come on now, don't
Yeah.
be excessive with it. Like, some of the stuff I was doing, the people were like, wow, I can't believe it.
Right.
And I had to understand that about myself because I didn't know. And so that is what the moms are like really saying, like, wow, I cannot believe that you put this workbook out for us to see that and not lose who we are in trying to maintain the happiness and the stability that we have in our lives.
And that makes sense. And that makes sense. And I love it. Now, we talked about how you said self-care isn't just mimosas on a Saturday or getting a mani-pedi, guilty of all of those things.
Me too.
And that and that each level requires a different version of you. Are there any other misconceptions or notions that you're debunking in this workbook? I know that older Black women tend to not be as comfortable with therapy as younger moms, Black moms. So what are some things that you're basically flipping on its head for older Black moms who pick up the workbook?
And you know what? That is such an amazing question because my demographic is millennial and the older,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm finding that the older women are like reaching out to me like, girl, I got your book, but I didn't get to this part yet because it's really challenging me.
Mm.
Really challenging me. And so I'm like, okay, whereas the millennial women are like, oh my God, this is helping me. I'm writing out my goals, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Whereas we have not been taught to put ourselves first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be 46 tomorrow. Um,
Oh my gosh, happy birthday!
oh, thank you.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
like we don't like that. We don't like to deal with us. A lot of us don't like to look in the mirror and deal with those things that's inside that we've been suppressing for years.
Right,
People hear people saying, you're this kind of person, you're that kind of person, and we like, no, I'm not.
right.
When this book challenges you to get with that person, because I wrote it on two sides, right? If we get to that side of us that we really don't necessarily like, we don't like people to talk about that portion of us, we can own that shame that we put upon ourselves. That's why it's called I've Got the Tea That Will Get Me to the Juice. Because if you own your own story, you own who you are, then you don't have to worry about somebody saying, well, I know this about you. Well, good, because I know myself. You know
Right.
what I mean? You have to own that. And millennial women will own it, honey. Oh, yeah,
Yes.
that. And it's a,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Hmm.
They will own it. They will make money off of it.
That's right. Anxiety.
I just,
You're absolutely right.
I had just posted about the evolution of Meek Mill, how he is taking his story of being a delinquent, basically, and now he's helping to get prisoners out of jail. The people that was in this
Yeah.
position as him. He's not ashamed of his story. He's using it to help somebody else. And see,
Right.
man, my age is like, nah, listen, you don't know, like, I tell my mom all the time, oh, you getting amnesia, huh? You think this ain't happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's who we are. We don't want to own it. We want
Yes.
to rewrite history.
Right. Yes. I have a Black mom. So I know what you're talking about.
Listen, when they be telling us these stories, we like, no, mom, this happened. Well, I don't remember that.
Right. I don't remember it happening like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I'm like, that's selective amnesia.
Isn't it though?
So this is what that book does. And a lot of times the women, older women have a issue with digging. So they'll put it to the side until, they're ready to deal with that portion. But
Yeah. I love that you brought up Meek Mill, and I love that you have a son, because what do you say to the women who pick up the workbook and it is teaching to be an advocate for yourself, a Black female, and to be confident, stand up for yourself, but yet the world around them is just condemning and killing Black men? How do you manage to teach a woman to focus on herself when there's so much going on externally with Black men?
right, and raising my son, because if we are not uh, holding and bringing ourselves to be who we are, we don't know what to do with our kids.
Absolutely.
And in owning your story and owning who you are and taking care of yourself, you will be 100% for your kids. Your kids will be confident. They will understand. They will know. They will take you at your word, because they know in this moment, okay, in this time, she's good. Mom is good. She's gonna take care of this. There's not a time. My son, if I listen, I never forget. Somebody told me. I think it was my niece said, girl, your son believe everything you said. I said, because he has to, because anything he say to me and I can't make it happen, or I can't see it through, I communicate. If we don't do that with our children, there's no self-confidence in who we are. So with everything that's happening outside in the world that tells you you're nothing, you're this, you're that, it has to be reiterated in the home. But it won't be sealed if you're not a confident person in who you are. In this household, my son knows, you know what I mean? He knows
Yeah.
his bonds. If something happens, then it's like, oh my God, it is happening. I'm not perfect, but this is what happens. And I never forget, one time I had to go and tell him, like, things change. And he was like, what? Things change? You said, because all of those years, if I said it,
Yeah.
happening. If I did, you know what I mean? And
Right.
I had to get him to understand that things change as older you get. And it's as much as we want to plan out things change, and your
Yeah.
mama got to change with this thing. you so it and let them know that how to conduct yourself when you're in the outside world. Be informed, but all of those things is all for naught if you're not confident in who you are and not knowing who you are and not being able to take care of you. Then you can't take care of them. And they're going
Yeah.
to, kids ain't crazy. Kids know.
Yes, they do. Absolutely.
Listen, you know.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm their North Star as well, so I know what you mean. I do. Tell me about a part of the book that brought you to tears.
The part about the tea on yourself, you know, nobody knows the tea better about you than you. That's why I always say, who knows the tea on you but you? And coming to grips of you cannot be the victim all the time.
Yeah.
You can't be the victim. Everybody ain't doing everything to you, girl. Like, come on now. Like you got to be doing something to some kind of people. And I never forget, like, coming to that realization within myself. I was in my like late 30s and I started to step back and notice, like, if stuff is always going on in your life, you are the common denominator in that mess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to take your time and figure this thing out. Take everybody else out of the equation, take responsibility and be accountable for things that you do. So that's why I said millennials got it. Because y'all listen, y'all be like, yeah, I did it. And
Right.
it's like doing the work to make it better, you know? And that's the thing that I was like, in writing, in the book, I give examples from the magazine, and I talked about how, in haste for money and doing all these things, I connected with like a D-list celebrity, and believing, because a lot of people like the magazine because we make you look good. You know, we show the positive part of being a Black person in everything that's going on around, and
Right.
a lot of people like that, and the content is very enriching. So I hooked up with this D-lister and, you know, believed everything she said. I was a newbie in this business. And then it just backfired on me. And I had to step back and take a look at myself like, girl, you thought you had it going on. It was easy for you to get these celebrities and, you know, all of this stuff. And they want to be in the magazine. And your head was like this, you know? And so, you know, God said, boop. And
Right. Well,
frying pan and said, chick, come on back over here. Come back,
right.
Jamaica. You know, just come back on over here, sister girl, and get yourself together. And from that moment on, I've always stepped back to say, take responsibility, look what portion you played in the mess, and then just move forward and just know not to move that way again. Watch
Absolutely.
watch moves. Yep. So that's
Right.
the part. And that's the part I know, and it's in the beginning. And that's the part I know people my age and above have the most. Girl, listen, because we a trip. You know, Black women a trip.
Yes, I do. I was raised by them. I am one. I know it too well.
You know, we're a
So
trip.
when did you shared the book out, so folks have copies. When did you know that you had wrote a book that really resonated with women? Because it's one thing to write a book, but it's another thing to have a book where people actually are like calling you the minute they're finished.
Right. And the thing that I'm getting from everyone, they're not finished. They've ordered this book since February or yeah, I put the first, you know, word out about it and the shipment went out in February. They're not finished. It's 100 pages. It's not like it's 400
Yeah,
pages. And it's challenging me. It's making me think. I can't rush through this. I have to take a moment of time. And that is exactly what I want them to do. You have to take a moment of time for yourself for this because you got to pay attention. You have to pay attention because it's all about you, you know? And I had said before about this is the greatest time to have this book.
I was just about to say, if anything, God and COVID are teaching us to take a pause and just feel and reflect.
Exactly. And reflect on it and understand who you are in this moment. Your past is the past. You don't have to be ashamed about anything. learn from it. And what you learned from it, walk with integrity moving forward and make sure no one is being hurt in the process. You're being true to yourself. And if you're true to yourself and being authentic and no one is getting hurt, you're good, you know? And but it is so much with the memories in the past that this digs up that people are like, I don't know. Let me put this down. Maybe I need a drink with this. No, you just need to sit down and take a moment for yourself.
Yeah. The people who need a drink weren't going to change no way. But Tunisha, tell everybody where they can get the book.
Sure, you can get it on Amazon. Just put I've got the tea that will get me to the juice. Or you can get it right from the magazine's website, www.theimpactmagazine.com.
Absolutely. And everybody who has it, leave a review, because then
Yes.
that's how Tunisha gets more sales. So leave a 5-star review.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having this conversation with me and allowing me the opportunity to connect with you.
Thank you so much. So much. We're going to do some more work because I have to put you in the magazine and all.
Oh, I would love it.
Yes, honey bun. Yes, so we have to do that. And this was so great for me to sit down and talk about the book and this perspective of getting to who you are.
I truly wish you nothing but success and
Thank you
congratulations.
so much. Thank you. I appreciate
You're
it.
so welcome.